joining us from Hopkins area. It's Adult Options in Education. And we have 3 classes from Metro South in Bloomington and Eden Prairie. I have just started the recording of the webinar, and now I would like to introduce you to Michelle Smaby from Adult Options.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Smaby. Thank you, Adult Options and Education students, for being here. Nice to meet you, those at Metro South. This is an exciting webinar for us. I'm going to introduce our guests from CareerForce. We have Irene Connors, the lovely Irene Connors, as well as Robin Johnson. They're going to be our presenters today. So they have a PowerPoint that they will present from, and then there'll be some time for questions at the end of the webinar. Have a wonderful experience. Thank you for joining us. And then Robin, if you'd like to start, it's all to you right now.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. My name is Robin Johnson. I'm a trainer at CareerForce, and I'm going to be doing the slides here. So let me bring up my PowerPoint, and we'll get going here. Alrighty. Let me know if you can't see that, but I think you should be able to see it. So today I'm going to start us off, and then Irene is going to kind of take over and do a lot of the presentation. And she has done this very successfully with ABE for many years. And so we're going to be kind of tag teaming it here. So the objective today is to let you know how CareerForce can help you. That's why we exist. That's why we're here. We're here to assist you, answering questions, encouraging you, giving you resources, and basically doing everything that we can to help you successfully get a job and get a good job. So let me talk just a sec before I turn it over to Irene as to what is CareerForce. When you hear it, what you're hearing about is Minnesota's workforce system. And so our workforce system in Minnesota is made up of employers, people who can create jobs, the state and local government, and lastly, but far from least, is partners like ABE. So we're all working together to connect workers with employment and employers with workers. That's why we're here. This is what we do. So what we do here at CareerForce is we match people who are looking for work with the people who need workers. We are the ones that teach people how to find jobs, where to look, how to go about it, and possibly how to train for them, because sometimes what you really want to do might require a little bit of training. And we also show employers how to find workers like you. So we are also at the same time talking with employers regularly and helping them seek you out. So together we're helping career seekers and employers and communities really thrive. So I'm going to remind you again, because it's always nice to be reminded, that if anything that I'm saying or that Irene says in a bit sparks a question, please write that down, get it to us so that we can answer it after our presentation is over. And another popular question we get is, do you have translation services? If I work with a CareerForce representative, it'll just go that much easier if I have a translator. And yes, we have a language line. And the nice thing about the language line is that you don't have to do anything. We set it up on our end. We get connected with a translator who can join us either face-to-face or over the phone or teleconferenced and be able to have the conversation in a way that's most effective for you. Okay, so when we're talking about getting ready to look for a job, here are the things that Irene is going to talk about more extensively. And here are the big points to remember about finding a job here in Minnesota. One of the biggest priorities is you need to be able to understand your skills and your experience. And I'll add, you need to be able to talk about your skills and experience so that an employer can get a good idea what you can do. Another really important thing is to get your personal situation figured out. What do we mean by personal situation? That you have childcare available and ready so that you can work the hours, that you have transportation, whether that be your own transportation or that be public transportation. Can you get to the work site if you need to? Also, these days, that even may mean, do you have a computer and an internet connection if they're going to ask you to work remotely? Another important thing is, do you know what type of job works best for you? Do you like talking with people? Are you really good at talking with people? Or do you prefer to work on databases or do something, work with your hands or that thing? So the idea is to find out what kind of a job works best. And do you understand the best way to look for your job? And of course, that one is very obvious. That's where we can come in and we can assist you with that. Okay, now I'm going to introduce the first section here, and then I'm going to hand it over to Irene. So today in Minnesota, and many other places, of course, resumes are really important. And oftentimes you need to be able to get the resume right the first time, because resumes are going to be scanned and they're going to be reviewed. So we're going to talk about in this section why it's important for you to make sure that your resume is really, really good and ready to go. This is what we do at CareerForce. So I'm going to advance the slide and I'm going to have Irene take over. Irene, I think you're still muted.
Sorry about that. I
Mhm.
was. So, first of all, you want to ask yourself, what is the purpose of this resume, right? What is it going to do for me? So, having a good resume is going to entice the employer.
I would like to remind people to mute their microphone. Thank you.
It is going to entice the employer to bring you in for the job interview. That is the purpose. Okay? Doesn't have to be your entire work history. Think of it as your advertisement. What are you selling? You're selling yourself. Okay? So that's what you're highlighting, and you're going to be highlighting your skills and experience that you want the employers to know about you for that job you're applying for. Okay? So I'm going to go over.
Hello.
I'm going to go over the basics.
You are here, I think. Okay.
I'd like to remind people to mute their microphone. So Viorica, please mute your microphone. It's at the bottom of the screen. Thank you.
So we are.
Allison, you can mute her.
Robin, could you take over for me for a minute? I'm going to try to maybe get in and get out or shut down some other things. Do you mind, Robin?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'm muting myself now.
Okay. All right. So hopefully I'm on the right slide here. I've been trying to figure out how to mute myself here, if that was the problem. Okay. So what to include on a resume? And remember, at CareerForce, we do not write resumes for you, but we are more than willing to help you if you bring something to us where you've gotten at least a good start on it, and we can go from there. So some things to include on a resume. You want to include your contact information, which includes your name, your phone number, your email. Now, there's a little bit of a debate as to whether you need to include your city, state, and zip code. I personally don't, but we can talk to you about that a little bit more. If you are on LinkedIn at this point, and we will talk about LinkedIn a little bit more as to what it is and how it can help you. But if you already know about it, and if you have a LinkedIn account, you can certainly put that URL there. The other thing you want to do is you want to include a summary and skills. Now, this section is really a brief description of the key skills. And when I say key skills, I encourage you to focus in on the skills the employer says that they want. So if they say they want someone with a lot of experience working with customers and solving customer problems, you definitely want to include that on your summary. Things to write about, things to include about. For example, are you good with people? Again, I said if you're going for a customer job or a job that interacts with customers and you talk back and forth, are you good at that? What skills do you have on the computer? That is becoming more and more important, obviously, when so much of the work that we're doing is remote. By the way, all of you speak multiple languages, which I don't, by the way. That is a wonderful selling point. It definitely stands out. So if you are bilingual or multilingual, that is something that you want to talk about and you want to advertise because that is help. The other thing is, are you good with other cultures? Can you adapt to a diverse team of people? Or perhaps even adapt to a diverse clientele? Are the customers of the organization you're working with from different countries, and are you good at that? So you want to make sure that you're including all of that information as well. Okay. So what else to include? So the idea is that you work to customize your resume to the job that you are going for. If I've been a salesperson in the past, but let's say I don't want to sell anymore. I want to go for a customer service job. I want to make sure that I'm including customer service on my resume. And there are going to be times when I may not really talk about selling. Okay. But you're definitely going to want to include your work history. And this includes the job title that you had and where you worked. You want to talk about what you did in that job. And you want to talk a little bit about your accomplishments too. Not just what you did, but what you did very well. You want to include the city and the country where you worked, the month and the year that you started and you ended that job. Now, some people will ask, is there a need to include every job that you have ever had? And the answer to that is no. Generally speaking, here in Minnesota, people are used to seeing resumes that are about 2 pages long. And sometimes we encourage people not to include work that they've done past 10 years or past 15 years, just simply because a lot of times with technology changing and everything else, what we did way in the back may not be as relevant as what we've did in the last 10 years. You'll also want to include your education, the highest level of school that you completed. If you received a diploma, the name of the school, the city, and the country of the school. Is it necessary to put a date of graduation? I would say no. I have not put on the date of my graduation now for many years, but generally speaking, it is not. Okay, so now we're going to go to how do I know what else is important for employers? What do employers in Minnesota want to see from me? How can CareerForce prepare me to succeed in getting the job I want? Because remember, CareerForce is going to be your link to Minnesota employers. Every place is a little different, and we can really, really help you show what are the employers of Minnesota thinking and what is important to them right now. So I can tell you right now that what employers want probably most is the right skills, the ones that match the job. So the important thing is that you are creating a resume and that you are looking for jobs that actually match what you have successfully done in the past. If you are a very, very, very good photographer, that's excellent. But if the job has nothing to do with professional photography, You might confuse an employer because they may not be able to see, how is this going to be relevant? How is this going to be meaningful in the job that I need you to do? So we'll talk a lot about matching the skills they say they want with how you have actually displayed those skills in your past history. Good work experience, being able to say that you have had some significant work experience, that you have been on a job for a while, that you know what it's like to have a job and you know what it's like working for a boss and with a team. Education is very important to employers. That doesn't always have to mean that you have to have a college education, although that's really good as well. But what's going to be really important is good reading skills, perhaps some math, depending upon the job. Another priority is what I mentioned before, people who have transportation. This can be a hurdle, and we can certainly help you with that. And there's actually a lot of good resources here in Minnesota. But I would put having reliable transportation as a priority, because employers are going to want to make sure that you are able to get to the job on time and every day. Now, I'm going to add, living in the world we do right now, if the job you get is remote, then the other thing that's going to be really important is going to be able to have a good computer at home and a good internet connection. And again, we at CareerForce can help you making sure that that's in place. Another thing is that you've arranged for childcare. So that is going to be extremely important, that you are ready and you can work the hours they need you to work and the days that you need to work, and that your child is being taken care of by a quality childcare or a friend or a family or whatever it is, but your child is being taken care of well, and that you can go to work when they need you to work. And then that kind of ties into the last one, which is people who can work the hours needed. It's very important, especially if you have things like childcare, to know what are the hours and can I work those hours, because that's something they're going to be looking for as well. All right, we're coming back to skills again. Do they fit the job opening? So one thing that we talk about at CareerForce a lot are the skills that you have that can transfer from one industry or occupation to another. I'm hearing some rustling. I don't know if that means Irene is coming back or not.
You're- Can you hear me all right?
I
Is there
can indeed. I can indeed.
any
Go for
problem
it.
now? Yay. Okay. So, yes, we were just talking about skills once again, and there are all kinds of skills. There are skills that have something to do with the way you manage your behavior at work. So, for example, team skills. Are you good at working with other people to be productive and get the work done? Adaptability. There are so many changes in processes in the workplace. There are so many changes in terms of the way computers and platforms are used. So employers want someone who is adaptable and can change and make changes and learn new things, lifelong learning. And then there's things like punctuality. Can you get to work on time? Now, this is a skill that you may want to develop. Why? Because in some countries, punctuality may be defined differently as in other countries. Here in the US, if they ask you to be at work at 8 a.m., they mean exactly you should be at work ready to go at 8 a.m. That may not be true in the country that maybe you are from. So it's very important to understand there could be some differences, but they can still be, those skills can still be developed. Now, tasks that you can do well, of course, those are your skills. And some of these might be specific for a type of job. So I had someone who is in information technology, and she said that she supported a certain kind of product application. and that there are only a few companies who use that application. So that would be a specific or a job specific skill. Okay. Now, if you matching the skills to the type of job you want, as Robin was saying, is so essential because the employers are looking for those specific skills. Now, again, Robin said that we at CareerForce can help you with this. We can help you to identify your skills. At our website, careerforcemn.com, we have a wealth of resources for careers and to help career seekers. So we have a number of different kinds of labor market tools. We have classes, we have workshops, we have explanations of different programs that might assist you. It's a whole breadth of information. So what I wanted to do is just help mention one of the newest skills, newest tools that we have on CareerForce. It's at the very top of our homepage, and it's called the Compare Skills Tool for Career Seekers. So easy to find since it's right at the top of our homepage. So it's really pretty cool. So it can give you information of how your skills and experience can compare, how they can compare with in-demand careers or in careers that you're just interested in. So for example, if you click on the link at the top, what you would do is you would see that there are two boxes. One you fill in that prompts you for your occupation. So if you were last, let's say you were last a licensed practical nurse, just making this up. Type in, you would enter in licensed practical nurse. Then it asks for your zip code. You type that in. You hit the submit button and it will give you all kinds of roles that are closest and use the similar skills to your last job as your licensed practical nurse. So in this case, I ran that just to give it a try and see what happened. And I found that physical therapists and nurse practitioners used many of the same skills. So as I'm saying, we have a whole wealth of tools to help you figure that out. But you don't have to figure it out on your own. You have us at CareerForce who can help you with that. Any questions? Okay, so moving on to talk a little bit about resumes. So we thought we would just show you an image of how a resume could look. And in this format, you can see that we have all of the 5 parts of a resume that are the basic fundamental parts. We can always add options, but these are the fundamental parts that we want to include. So you see, Amina has her name at the top in bold letters, and notice the point size, really high point size, so it really stands out. Then she has the city, state, and zip code information. And if you use something called LinkedIn, which think of that as a work career version of Facebook, I assume many of you use Facebook. If you do use that tool, then you could put it in your contact information. Then the third portion is your skills. You listed that. And then the work experience follows. Lastly, on the education piece, of course, Amina put in adult basic education, so you don't want to forget that, right? She put in the name of her high school. She put in where it was, what country it was in. And also she put in relevant training. So this just gives you the idea of how your resume could look. We went over the details before, but just kind of giving you a brief look of how it would look. And we at CareerForce can help you with that too.
Okay. So the next section is what job possibilities are out there for individuals who are speaking English as a second language. How do you find the jobs? Where do you find the jobs? And this is where CareerForce can help you in finding where those jobs are.
So, what are the in-demand jobs? What do employers in Minnesota want most in terms of new employees or new hires? What kinds of jobs are they looking for? And what are the top industries? The top industries. So let's just look at the in-demand jobs. So drivers and delivery occupations, those are way in demand. Right now, there is a huge shortage of truck drivers, as I'm sure many of you have heard in the news. So that is one of them. And notice two others are in the healthcare area: personal care aides and nursing assistants. And I highlighted nursing assistants because there is a clear path, a career path for that particular type of occupation. So perhaps you are interested in nursing, but you don't have any experience, real education in that area. You might start out by applying for an entry-level job as a nursing assistant. But many of the companies, facilities, hospitals, they're interested in training you to go to the next level. So they may have tuition reimbursement or on-the-job training and training right on site to help you get to the next part or the higher level position, which is getting your certification to become a certified nursing assistant. And then after that, you may work in that role and you may decide you want to go to the next level. And the next level could be maybe a licensed practical nurse. You'd need more education and skills for that. Maybe it could be a medical assistant. And maybe you'd want to start studying for to be a registered nurse, which includes more higher education and more skills that you'd need to learn. But you see how there's a clear career path. So you can see that there are also some industries that we included as high demand. So they are social and human service, they are hospitality, they are construction. Those are top three. Now notice in all of these industries, you will note that they include a whole mix of entry-level, mid-level, and higher-level executive roles. Now, where do I find the jobs? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our job board, minnesotaworks.net, which helps you find jobs and it helps employers find candidates like you. Now, networking is key to finding a job. So what's networking? It's connecting with people in different ways. It can be talking with people. It can be using social media to have conversations with people. It's all about making connections. Because in Minnesota, more than 75% of all jobs are attained through networking. That's why this is so super important. So it's all about knowing other people and expanding your network. So who do you approach? Who do you start to talk with? Think about France. That would be friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, coworkers, and that's former, or current, and everyone else. That's France. Okay, so let's talk more about this making conversations, talking, or what we call networking, making those connections. First, you're never going to want to approach anybody and ask them for a job. That is a big turnoff. Instead, what you want to do is ask someone for job search advice. People are flattered when you ask their opinions about something. So it's all about asking for advice, not putting pressure on them at all. Now, consider asking this person or this contact to look at your resume. They may have some good feedback for you. Prepare a list of questions in advance of meeting with a contact. Always write down your questions in order of importance, because when you do have an appointment with someone, it needs to be brief because people are so busy. So when I'm talking about brief, we're talking about 15, 20 minutes of somebody's time. That's why I say it's really important to list the most important questions first. Now, if you do use LinkedIn, you would want to ask people with whom you are directly in contact with, or people you basically know, to help connect you with people you would like to know to speak within an appointment. That is creating a mutual connection. And that way, you're not asking somebody who you do not even know directly for an appointment. We call those cold calls, and they're not effective. Instead, you want somebody who knows you to go out on your behalf and help ask and then create a linkage between the two of you. Lastly, don't take refusals for appointments personally, okay? It's not about you. It could be about that person's time. It could be about a million other reasons that have nothing to do with you. Or maybe they just don't feel comfortable. So don't take it personally at all and expect that it can happen. And it probably will happen during a job search, okay? I went to a presentation by a CEO recently, and he was funny. He was talking about refusals, and he says, think of it this way: your mother loves you, but she sometimes says no to you. So we all kind of chuckled at that. Let's talk about MinnesotaWorks.net, which some of you, I believe, have registered on, and some of you will be registering on shortly. So let's talk about it. So this is our job board, and it's the official labor exchange for Minnesota. And the idea is to connect you with employers that are seeking your skills. And you can post your own resume up there so employers can find you. Okay, so we're making that connection. You can see that this is the homepage of MinnesotaWorks.net. On the left side of the screen, it says Job Seekers. And there is a button with the arrow saying, here's where you start the job seeker registration. It's about 7 different screens, and you can do it with your laptop, your desktop, you can do it with a phone, and you can do it with an iPad. Okay. If you already have an account, you can see where the username and password is. Now, it's really nice about once you register in MinnesotaWorks.net, it also gives you the opportunity to sign up for all of our different services, because I will go into that a little bit more later. So let's just go into an example of a candidate, an ABE student who I worked with. And he was a very busy person. He had school. He was also helping with childcare arrangements and childcare directly. But he still needed some extra income. So he said, for right now, I wouldn't mind working in a restaurant. And I said, well, what kind of job were you thinking? He said, oh, I don't mind washing dishes. I'd be a dishwasher. I said, okay. So he said what was really important to him was it had to be an evening job, and it had to be close to home. So we set up in this search function or this search page, all of those, all that information so that he would find places that would, and employers who would want to hire people given his desires and requirements. So for the job opening, we set it up so that it was within 5 miles of where he lived, and he typed in a zip code. And for the keyword, we typed in dishwasher, and we made sure to say that it was part-time and indicate part-time, and also to make sure that we said it was the second shift because he absolutely had to work evenings. And then we selected the search button. We got results that showed about 3 restaurants who could hire and were seeking candidates like him. So now you can see an example where you're searching for a particular type of job. Now you can also very easily post your resume with about 4 clicks and upload your resume and put that on our job board. So you can see there's those 2 ways.
So CareerForce does indeed have the job board that Irene just gave you kind of a quick tour of. And it also hosts webinars regularly. So you're probably asking, how can these help me and how can I access everything? So at CareerForce, we have all kinds of resources, I told you, for career seekers. So I listed just a couple. One being workshops on job search topics. And also we have some that are on skills training, computer software, as well as hiring events. This is among a wealth of different content and resources we have for you. So why would this be a benefit to you? How is this all going to help you? Well, if you were to take a resume class, you would learn better how to sell yourself, because that's what we're doing. You are the product, and we are advertising you to the employer to bring so that you can get brought in for job interviews. And the more, the better, right? So that's what they can help you with when you go to a resume writing workshop. Learning to make connections. We talked about how important networking is and talking to people is and making connections with people are. Well, we have a class called LinkedIn, and it helps you with learning all about how you can expand your network and how you can attract more employers to select you for follow-up for an interview. Microsoft Office. I told you that we do have some Microsoft Office classes as well, and that would be in Word and Excel currently. So you can learn the best ways to search for jobs. We have career exploration as well. And how to connect with employers at hiring events. You'll find research classes on information on that too, where you can actually select to go to particular hiring events, or they can even be recorded. And I'll get into that more in a minute. Okay, so now I gave you an idea of why you would want to register for a workshop and how you can also watch past events. And the nice thing about watching past events is that you can rerun them. You can ask somebody to watch them with you who maybe could help you with the language. So there's a lot of nice flexibilities. You don't have to worry about what time you have to attend. There's lots and lots of flexibility. So we highly recommend watching past events.
Okay, so how do we go about it? This is very simple. So you're going to see right now that we are at the home page of careerforcemn.com. Now that you're on the home page at careerforcemn.com, you'll click on the selection for career seekers. So that's step 2. Next, you're going to go to step 3. You're going to click on virtual and interactive services for career seekers. So that is the far left image. That's going to show us live events, workshops, and resources. Now, here's what we're highly recommending. We recommend that you select past events for the reasons that I just told you. We've circled that, and you can see there's a blue link there. Click on that blue link. It'll say CareerForce workshops and classes. And then you will see a whole wealth of different classes and workshops that you can choose from. There are many. There are office training classes. There are interviewing and job search training. And we have 2 of those classes actually totally in Somali. For those of you who speak Somali, that would be very helpful. Networking and training on LinkedIn to increase our connections. Interviewing skills. Some of us can get a lot of interviews but have trouble getting an offer from an employer. Maybe you get nervous and jittery. Maybe you're not sure what information or questions you should prepare for. We at CareerForce can help you with that. And we can help you through workshops, and we can also help you in individual appointments, but we'll go over that in a minute. And then, of course, there's resume writing workshops. And we have so much more. You'll have to check it out. Let's talk about how to set up job search appointments. So what's super helpful for many of my ABA students is to work individually. A lot of the time I work on resume reviews with ABE students, but we work on a whole range of different topics related to your job search. So how do we go about this? 1, we're going to go to careerforcemn.com, same address as before, but we add a / and Bloomington because obviously that's our city. So that's how you get to our homepage. Then you'll see, when you scroll down, many tiles. And on these tiles, you'll be able to make selections about when you'll want to come and see us. So the red arrow in that example is showing a specific time and date that you would want to come in and register. The register, as you can see, it's the blue button with the arrow there. So you would click on register if you wanted to come on Thursday, the 20th at 8:30 a.m. So after you select the tile with the date and time, you click that register button. It will prompt you to use minnesotaworks.net as your username and password. So you just type that in, and then you'll see a confirmation come up. But not only will you see a confirmation come up then, but you will also be receiving an email from our Bloomington staff with more information about your appointment and asking you in what way you'd like to meet with us, because you have choices. Here is our contact information. Our main number that we can be reached at is 952-703-7763. Now, our web homepage for our location is, again, careerforcemn.com, but you add the / for Bloomington. And then I also put down, included our address. So that's how you can, you have several ways that you can get in touch with us. Now we'd like to put it open to you and answer some questions.
Irene, I have a question just about your last slide. Some of our students have your handout, and the phone number is different on your handout than on the last slide. So is it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, no, that's not a problem. The one that I have on the slide actually is me, my specific number. And the other number is our main number.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, sorry about that. Anything else? Robin, any comments?
Just that I hope that you guys reach out to us. We will meet you where you are at, and what I mean when I say that is we will work on whatever you feel is a priority. So what I usually encourage people to do is tell me a little about themselves, what they want to do, and then how I can help them from there. So our meetings are very casual. They can be very fun, and they can be very, very informative. And as Irene mentioned, we're very flexible. If it is easier for you to simply talk with us over the phone, we can talk with it over the phone. And again, we do have the language line. So if it will be easier for you to use a translation service, again, we will do that. We take care of that and arrange that. And we can do that as well. Or if you feel more comfortable coming in face to face and talking with us there, we can accommodate that as well.
Right. And for choices for how you can meet with us, we do have 3 different options. So we're trying to be as flexible as we possibly can. You know, you can meet with us through video chat, through phone, through in person. So we do give you choices. We're trying to be as flexible as we can for you.
So we're getting some questions in the chat, and then I noticed Martha has her hand up. So Martha, would you like to ask a question?
Yes. I always work on restaurants and clean houses, but after I get sick, I'm not able to use much my right hand. So I start learning to use my left hand. And I want to learn and know what kind of job I can do for survive. Because I always be independent, and I don't want to be like give a lot of like stress for my kids. My kids is older already, and I live by myself.
Absolutely. And this is something that we can help you with. What I would encourage you, and Irene, you can add your own thoughts to this, but the first thing that occurs to me is please make an appointment with us. We can hear your whole story. We can hear what other work interests you, what other work you feel you could do with your limitations currently, and then we can kind of take it from there in terms of brainstorming what jobs would be available. The other nice thing that we haven't talked about yet is the opportunity of short-term training. We have what is called the Dislocated Worker Program, which is great if you've been laid off due to COVID or some other reason. If you are looking for some training that would allow you to get into a different kind of job, which sounds like maybe that's something you want to do, we can arrange for that as well. So it sounds to me like you would be a wonderful candidate to come in. Tell us a little bit more about where you've been, where you want to go, and we can determine what's the next step from there. Irene?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question, Robin?
Oh, she was just talking about, she now has some physical limitations that would affect her going back and doing restaurant work. But she wants to work, and sounds like you want to work fairly soon because she does have kids. So what is your advice?
Yeah, so I definitely think there's a lot of variables in this. Could do some assessment to help us. I think there needs to be a lot of brainstorming and a lot of conversation around this. And I think this is best suited to an individual appointment with one of us to assist you to find that right fit.
So I'm just stop in the office or use the phone number that you told us a couple minutes ago.
Yes, you can either call. The other thing is if you want to reach out to either us or any of your ABE teachers, if you have an account with MinnesotaWorks.net, you can actually go online and you can set up an appointment and register online.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. So there are some questions in the chat, and we can start with, if you can see them. One is, do you help find childcare resources? That's one question.
I like to get resources and information from 211 from the Twin Cities. I have called them before and talked to the person who's in charge of resources, and she's given me some references so that we can identify what's currently being offered.
And then the next question is this only for students or for everyone, what you're presenting?
Everyone.
Everyone. Yes, everyone. That's right.
Great.
That's the France, the E, everyone.
And then the next question is, do you help with grammar and vocabulary on resumes? So if someone needs help with that, is that something?
Just remember here that with Irene, you have a very experienced communications professional and writer. With me, you have an old English teacher. So the short answer to that is yes, we will help you a lot.
Yes, and double yes.
Yes, yes, that is part of what we do all the time. So yes, from Robin, yes, from me, and we're happy.
And everyone else that works here, yes.
Yeah, yes, from the rest of us not here.
Great. And then the next question, do you have information about classes that students can take that will help them with their career pathway? And it sounded like you mentioned that. A student asked about Goodwill Easter Seals classes and wanted to know if you have information about that organization.
I used to work there. And so, but unfortunately, my information is a few years old now. So you'll definitely want to visit their website and get their current list of classes. So if you Google, you can simply Google Goodwill Easter Seals, Minnesota. It's important that you put Minnesota there because Goodwill is a national program and you want to get the local one. The last time I looked for someone, I believe they combined a bunch of classes they used to teach separately, and they have a general office class, and then they have a construction class, they have an automotive class. And I'm not sure if they have any more at this point. I don't know whether they're still doing retail or not, but probably the easiest and quickest way for you to find out what they offer is Google Goodwill Easter Seals, Minnesota.
Great, thank you. And then do you know if the employer can offer a work permit for a job seeker, or if you could help with that? So it looks like work permits. So seekers that need work permits, how does that work?
I've not encountered that yet. And so, Irene, if you have, by all means, jump in.
No,
But this, again, this is something that we can assist you with
Yeah.
researching and finding out.
yeah, we're happy to research and find it out. That's just one thing that has not come up for me or Robin.
Okay, thank you. And then the next question is, can a CareerForce specialist come to our campus for individual meetings? So at Metro South, class, at Hennepin Tech. So do you do that type of visit where you would come to our campuses or our locations?
I don't believe at this time.
Okay.
You would need to come to us, or we could meet remotely, either by teleconference or by phone.
Excellent. And then, is there a cost for your services? Ooh.
No.
Free.
Yay!
Zero.
Everything we do is free to you. Everything we do and all of our services are free to you.
Wonderful. And then Allison has posted in the chat Parent Aware, so for some child care education programs. So thank you, Allison, for putting that in the chat. She's got a link and a phone number in there, so just click on your chat for that. And then a student has a question about what kind of references are helpful, the significance of references. And maybe that's, if that question isn't clear, maybe the student can clarify that, or Sonia can clarify that.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Sorry, if I understand correctly, the question I think is the student has already applied for a job, has already turned in all the information, and now they want references, and he wants to kind of understand that what the importance of getting references. Is that correct? Is that correct?
Yes.
I think I have
Hold
enough.
on, can you,
go ahead.
sorry, hold on 1 second. We're trying to, I'm trying to talk to him and listen. 1 second, please. Just why they need, he wants to know why we need references. And I think that would be good to hear from your perspective, if you can explain why the significant, why do we need references?
Right.
Thank
Because, yeah, the employer wants to know firsthand from somebody else what your character's like, what your work ethic's like, what is the quality of your work been, all those kinds of things. The employer wants to know firsthand because they're looking at the resume. That's your advertisement. They look at what your job application, but they really want to know, and they may have some questions. And that's why it's really important to put together a list of maybe 3 to 5 references, 5 being the best, so that they can reach out. And if they have to make a decision really quickly and some of your references are unavailable, you've still got your 3. So you might ask, good references might be former supervisors that you've worked with, who you knew liked your work. Could be former coworkers, could be vendors, could be former customers. It could be your ABE teachers. It could be someone you work with part-time, who used to work with you part-time. All of these kinds of people would be, would really be able to speak to your character, speak to your work ethic, speak to the quality of your work done.
And I'm gonna jump in and make sure that you know that in Minnesota you've got kind of 2 kinds of references. You have a character reference and you have a professional reference. A professional reference is super important to have, and that's what Irene was describing about how well did you do your job. So we just spoke with someone who said she's done some cleaning work before. What a great, if she's got a former client of hers, a customer who can say, yes, she cleaned my house for 6 months. Let me tell you what she did. It was great. And then they can give examples of all of the extras she did that really made her house wonderful and clean at the end. That is a professional reference. A character reference is like a friend who's known you for many years and can say, I know this person is honest. I know this person is hardworking. I know this person is really going to want to do a good job. So make sure that you're choosing people who can actually talk about what you do well.
Thank you. Great information. Allison has posted in the chat the Goodwill Easter Seals website that you were referring to. And then Chelsea is reminding everyone on this call, because in your presentation, Irene, you mentioned the career path for nursing or healthcare. So we have classes at Adult Options in Education that lead to career paths, as well as Metro South. So just talk to your teacher, talk to Allison, talk to me, and we'd be happy to show you the career path classes we have and how they align with what Irene was referring to. And Allison has put another website up there that goes directly to the career pathway. So as far as questions in the chat, that's all that I've got so far. Are there any more that people would like to type in or raise your hand, and our presenters will find out what else you would like to know? This has been very interesting, very thorough, great information for our students.
We'll be happy to just to throw in some of those where to find what on the website can get a little tricky just because our website is big and we only had a few slides to cover it in. So feel free to reach out to us one-to-one. And we certainly have even sat down with someone and navigated through the website with them sitting beside us. So you can see where to find the workshops, how to set up appointments and that kind of thing.
I just thought I would mention too, one other thing. As I've worked with ABE students, I have found that video chat seems to work really well. So when you do choose an individual appointment, you might want to seriously consider if you can stream to do it that way, as opposed to like just, a phone conversation. It just seems to be much easier to communicate.
I do have a question about something in your presentation, if you don't mind, and it was about hiring events, which may be similar to job fairs. Can you just talk to our groups here a little bit more about how hiring events work or what they are?
Well, Robin just facilitated a hiring event. It was an employer of the day event. And the idea is that that you find out about the employer, that you can interact and have a conversation to let the employer know about you. So it's not only them spending time telling about their company and about what they offer in their jobs, but it's also about you getting a chance to be able to interact in some way with that employer.
Irene, are they in person or online?
Right now, most they're not online. They're online. Our employer of the day, what we did with that is we posted that onto our Bloomington page so that you can see it, and it's also on our Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development page as well, YouTube channel. So it is posted in 2 different places so that people can watch it as well, see what the employer says, what kind of job openings they have, what the company seems to be, if it might be a good fit for them. And then they know who the recruiter is, and they can reach out to us to see if we can make a connection if they didn't already put that within their own presentation that's recorded. It should be in there though, Robin, contact information.
Oh, yes.
Within the recording, so you don't even have, that wouldn't even be necessary.
Yeah.
But we're always open to helping you in any way that we can.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. I think we've gone a little bit over our time. Actually, we do have a few extra minutes. I think we've gone a little more, but if are there any other last questions? If not, we're going to conclude the webinar. And okay, I just want to thank you to the wonderful CareerForce speakers, Robin and Irene, and to our ABE classes for attending today. Students, your teacher will be giving you a CareerForce information flyer. Again, the number's a little bit different, but we can make sure that we get the correct phone number. You will also have the opportunity to complete an online survey about this webinar. We do want to get your thoughts and comments on if you thought this was valuable. So your teachers will get that online survey to you, and you will have the opportunity to create a minnesotaworks.net account. So again, I want to thank everyone for attending. I think it was a wonderful webinar. I've learned so much. And, teachers, if you need support from Michelle or me, just let us know. And again, thank you.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much.